Okay, let's come back. The first, our basic operation is to import data, right? So you have data restore some in other format. A typical format would be, Excel format or some CSV format or TXT format. So how can we import those data into R? So in the document already, put the code here, but the code is quite straightforward. So first, let's just clear all the, environment, memories there we've done previously to run this syntax. Okay, clear everything. Then we have to load the package called data.table. It is commonly used package by myself. It may not commonly used by others, but it's commonly used by myself because this package is very convenient for me to process big data. So for you, you haven't installed this data.table package, you have to use install.packages data.table quotation mark to install this this package. So for me, I have already installed. I don't have to run it. But for you, you have to run it. Okay. So install the package. Okay. After install the package, your library to load the package, and we will see here some instruction here. Right. How can we load CSV type? Right. We have a data file here. Let me see. It should be in your data CSV file, TXT file. Okay. Excel file. Okay. So how can we load this? We can run this syntax fread to read CSV file. Okay, a summary. We'll give you the summary of the file just load. So this is the data just load. We have case ID, source, department, everything like that. How can we look into the details? You can see in the environment part, we have the variable survey 311 CSV. It's the same name, right? Just click it. We'll show you the data content in this window, okay, in script window, okay. You can see all the details here. We have case ID, source, department, category, creation date, status, whether it's resolved or open is not resolved, still there. Whether the time is too long, closed, close date, the street, the physical address, right? The latitude, longitude, everything here. Okay. This is how we see the data. Just click it. Okay. Then this is export write.csv. We just export this data to something called export 2017. This is read.table is a function to read txt file. Okay, so we just run this one and see the same, right? And we can write.table is export. Okay. How can we read Excel file? We need to install two other packages. Read.xl, it has a function called read Excel. This will read Excel file. If you want to write Excel, okay, you need to install a package called write Excel. Okay, if you have already installed it, you don't need to do again. If you have already installed just library, right? Library means we are loading those two packages. If you haven't installed those two packages, you have to use install.packages, install.packages and quotation mark read Excel, and do it again for write Excel. Okay, for me, I just delete it because I'm ready installed. After load the package, again, we read the file, summary, you can see the summary here, right? Then write Excel, okay. Okay, and those data type conversion means, those data type, the double type, integer type, character type we mentioned above in the previous section, those type can be converted with each other under some, circumstances, okay? So for different circumstances, we can convert different types. Not all types could be converted. So here we're converting character type to a factor type. Okay, converting character type to data type. Right, okay, integer, factor type, data type, double type, right? Okay. In this class, we won't get into much detail about data conversion. If you are interested in doing data analytics in the future, you might take my other class, a independent project in public policy and public management. In that class, I'm going to teach you how to do data analytics using R. So I just skip this part, okay? Okay, after we do data import, there were another important part, okay? It's called control flow, okay? Let me see where the control flow, I haven't highlighted, I should. So control flow, in R, we have two important control flow syntax. One is called for loop, the other is called if else, okay? So let's get into our code, our basics. So for loop, if you try to repeat a same or a similar steps for a certain number of times, you can do for loop. Okay. For example, I have a variable assigned with the value I am happy, and I want to create a sequence of this variable. So it's from one element variable to a vector variable, right? So for each entry of the vector, I want I am happy plus a number. I want happy 1, I want happy 2, right? Also, I want this number to be double, which means I want happy 2, I want happy 4, and assign them back into this vector. So for each entry, I want to repeat the the function, the movement that put I am happy with 2 of the numbers together into a string. Right? How can we do that? So we have a for loop stepping from 1 through 10. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 10. So we repeat 10 times. And for each entry of this vector, we paste I am happy with double the value I. So 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? So how we run it? We run it again. So that's how we assign 10 value into a vector automatically. So that's a for loop, okay? If else loop is a logic, if something happens, it's correct, it will do something. Else means if it's not correct, it will do a different thing. So that's we come into the logic value we just mentioned before, true or false. How can we do a logic value? We usually use a logic statement. But in this example, the logic statement would to compare the value of v2 with 2. So if v2 is greater than 2, it will execute the first part. Otherwise, it will execute the second part and print a different number. Okay, now we assign v2 equals 1. So whether v2 is greater than 2 or smaller than 2, smaller than 2, right? So it will print I am sad and also print 3 plus 5, which is 8. Okay, let's run it. I am sad and 8, right? Okay, but if we change v2 into 4, right, then it's becoming v2 greater than 2. So it will execute the first part, right? So v2 2 again. I am happy. Do you? Right? So it pastes v1. I am happy. Do you? Right? It's the first one. The second part is not executed at this time. Right? So that's the value of v2 will control the executable block, right, in R. So that's the control flow. Okay. Again, we have some function called if else. It conduct the same thing, just in a different way. Okay. So the first entry here is the statement, the judgment statement, like v2 greater than 2, like this here. Okay. The first entry is when this statement is true, it will return the first entry. When the statement is false, it will return the second one, right? So in this case, we assign v2 equals 1 is less than or equal to, right? So it will return I'm happy. And result, I'm happy, right? If we assign the v2 value equals 4, again, 4, okay? And it will return I'm sad, right? I'm sad. It is a control flow here. So here is an example, okay? We try to import the data from this file, and we try to get the unique name of the department in this department column. Then we try to automatically create a set of folders for each department. Oh, right, we need a for loop, right? So let's get into this example. We remove everything first, load the data, then we load data into this one, and we can view to see there's a column called department, right? And we try to get the unique department, right? Here we can see the unique department, word service, NHS, all these things, okay? Then now we try to create, if there exists a folder called result, we do not need to create anything. If there isn't a folder called result, we will create this direct.create, will create a folder result, right? Similarly, if there exists a folder called example, we don't do anything, right? we just direct to that. If it doesn't exist, we have to create example. Then for each department in this KCMO department, for each entry in this department, we create a folder for that department, right? So for example, in our case, we just delete this result folder. So we don't have any result here, right? No folder called result. Then we run this one. If no results, create a result, right? Result folder is created. But on the result, we haven't seen any, example folder here, right? No example. It's empty. It's just an empty folder, result folder. So if we don't, we have an example folder, then create a folder with the department name. Okay. After we execute this, we go back to see we have an example folder and every folder for department name. Okay. So that's how we combine if-else control flow with the for loop to get this. Okay. Okay. So after we load this, we can see several basic operations, right? Just to assign values. Okay. So this is for control group and function step. Okay. We'll get into some basics operation about subsetting in the following videos.